Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. So this is Vinay Joseph. We're just waiting for some more members to join. We can get started. There's quite a good attendance now. Let's just give it a few more minutes and then we'll get started. Fantastic. We've got our panelists here. Thanks, Deepa and Vijay. Thanks for joining.
Hi Vinay. Hi Deepa.
Hi Vinay. Hi Vijay.
Right. We'll give a few more minutes, team, and then we'll get started. Okay, we've got the lovely Vijay's video started. That's great. Okay. Just 1 minute past the scheduled time, guys. We would take another few minutes and then we'll get started. Thank you for joining. Just hold on for a few minutes before we get started. Okay, it's 3 minutes past the scheduled time. Thanks everyone for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening in case you're joining from the APAC side of the geographies. All right, so we are going to start the webinar now. I'm going to share my screen. We'll get started with some introduction. We'll talk about what is it that we're going to cover as part of the webinar, and we can get started then. Vijay, can you just confirm if you're able to see my screen now?
Yes, we can see.
All right, perfect. So welcome everyone to the Virtuoso 101 series of webinars from Virtuoso QA. This is, I think, a fourth webinar this year since we've started in August. We've covered quite a lot of topics, and thank you for your continued support. I see a lot of attendance every time we have these sessions, and it's really encouraging for us. And it's really a great way for us to keep engaged with our partners and customers alike. Okay. Now we're going to get started today. What we're going to cover in the agenda, we'll do panel introductions. We've got a new member in our panel, Vijay, we're going to talk about what Vijay's role is and what he's going to talk to us about today. I'll give a quick overview and demo of the app of the Virtuoso QA platform, primarily for some of you who might be coming in new. I know that I see a lot of familiar names, but I know that there are a lot of people who are coming in new to this Virtuoso 101 series. So it would be great for them to understand what we're talking about. We're going to then cover the topic of the day, which is powering success together, how we work with partners. We will have 15 minutes set aside for Q&A and a call to action as well at the end. With that, let me get started. Those who know me, and for those who don't, I'm Vinay Joseph. I'm the Director for Global Alliances for Virtuoso QA. Been with the software engineering and QA side of the industry for about 20 years now. I've been with Virtuoso for over 3 years, and it's been really, really fulfilling. And I am really excited to talk to you about today's topic, right? With that, I'll hand it over to Vijay to introduce himself. Vijay, why don't you go next?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Vijay. I am the Partner Enablement Manager at Virtuoso. So my role here is to help our partners get the tools, training, and support they need to succeed with Virtuoso. I work closely with the partners to make collaboration easy and ensure smooth adoption and help them get the most out of our platform. So yeah, today I'm excited to share how Virtuoso and its partners work together to achieve the success. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks so much, Vijay. And we also have Deepa as a panelist. Deepa is going to help us coordinate this. And thank you so much, Deepa, for joining. Okay, with that, let me get to what are the key takeaways from today's session. So what we're going to cover in this webinar is super important. We do work with a lot of alliance partners, but what we want to talk about is how this team, and we'll talk about the whole team that Virtuoso brings in, helps the partners, number one, to position and sell Virtuoso and services around Virtuoso QA. Number two, which is where Vijay will come in and he will explain all the activities, the processes, and the solutions that Vijay will bring in to make sure that the delivery teams are enabled, they're trained, certified, and they have all the ecosystem of services, solutions, and reusable assets with them, so that would allow them to be project ready and achieve success in projects. And also how the post sales and onboarding support, etc., is enabled by this team, because it's not just enough for you to be enabled and to sell. It's also super important for us to make sure that your project teams and the projects are onboarded successfully to Virtuoso. They're also then well supported throughout the duration of the contract, which would allow them to provide great customer satisfaction, achieve the metrics that they want to set out, and how all of this is enabled with the team in Virtuoso QA. That's something that we're going to talk about. Okay, but before we do that, let's do a recap of what Virtuoso QA is, why we exist. So a quick overview and then a quick demo, then we'll get to the topic of the day today, right? So just to recap, and for those who are joining new, for those who are joining new, this is super important for you to understand why we exist. So when we started the company, when the company was started in 2017, these metrics were much more pronounced. So even now, this is from the metrics that we have seen in 2022, but 80% of the software testing that happens is predominantly manually. Of the 20 odd percent which has been automated so far, about 60% is with Selenium. And if you count in all the other open source solutions and the Selenium based frameworks, it's going to be north of 85 to 90%, which essentially means that it brings with its own challenges, primarily that Selenium and those coded solutions require really skilled resources, primarily people who are SDETs who can understand coding really well on one of the coding languages, either Java, Python, or anything else. And what we have seen in the market is about 80% of the time which a Selenium or an SDET would spend is on maintaining the existing regression pack, and only about 10% in creating new test cases. Add to the fact that SDETs, really skilled SDETs, are difficult to find in the market. They are 80% more costly than manual testers. All of that affects two things. Number one, it reduces the speed at which you can deliver test automation, which affects your release frequency, especially in the agile way of we operating. It is super important for us to automate as early as possible. Number two, it brings down the ROI, which essentially stops the customers in investing in creating more automation or investing or getting more automation done, which essentially means that with a poorer ROI, either they have to pump in more money to achieve the same quality as they would be able to achieve with an automated journeys and test cases. And that essentially means more money to be spent, and that basically makes the attractiveness of the return on investment for that money much more much more less attractive, or much less attractive compared to what you would do with the new age solutions like Virtuoso QA. Now, what we are primarily, we are an AI powered end-to-end functional test automation platform, which is focused on web applications. So anything which is browser-based applications and APIs. It could be business systems like Salesforce, ServiceNow, etc. But it doesn't matter. Anything which can run on a browser-based solution is something that we are focused on. We speed up testing by 10x. We deliver real cost savings, and all of that means you would be able to accelerate into your path of business success. And for your customers, it becomes super important as well, because they want to see your project succeed, the risk on your projects go down. We'll talk about quickly as well. So we work with a lot of large alliance partners. We also work with a lot of direct customers, which essentially they are using our intelligent testing platform to improve all the testing processes. And we'll talk about how it affects the metrics very shortly as well. So what are we used? Just to recap specifically, we are again primarily used for front-end UI UX testing, any of the testing phases which are focused on functional integration, visual or compatibility testing. That's our primary use case. We do facilitate a little bit of accessibility and security scanning, though those are not our primary use cases, but it's enabled with the scalable nature of the platform and the design that we have, which allows us to scale all the other aspects very quickly as well. Now, the use cases that we can be used for, anything on digital transformation. It could be any sort of applications, whether it's S/4HANA, Workday, ServiceNow, Salesforce, or custom applications, where you are looking at time to value. You want to make sure that you can release your projects, or you can release your code and features into the market as early as possible. You want to invest in strategic automation, or you want to move to a CI/CD automate pipeline. That is something where our customers come to us for, right? Now, how do we make the magic happen? So there are three important features I will talk about. There's one or three of the most important ones. There are like thousands of features which make us super attractive. Number one is live authoring, which essentially means that everything is written in plain NLP syntax, which is plain and easy, where you are writing simple text like click on a button, click on or write something on the field, which makes it super easy for you to write those test cases. But what is also important is, while you're writing those tests, with every line, you would be able to see exactly how that user action is getting performed live, and that makes it the feedback loops much more easier. So there's no writing a code, compiling it, testing it out, and that takes forever. And if you made some errors, it needs again the compiling, running it again, and so on and so forth. This feedback loop is instantaneous with every line of code that is written. And with the features in AI that we're bringing in, it makes it so much more easier for you to write the code. The last thing that we do, which is super important, is also self-healing the test. Now we go back to the challenges that we were talking about in the QA industry, where you have 80% of the time spent on maintaining the regression test, and about 10% is when you are writing new test cases, which essentially comes from the fact that every time there is a change in the application, and developers change the application every often, where you might be changing the front end or you might be changing things in the processes, there is a lot of work required by the estates to ensure that they can understand what selectors have changed, and those selectors are manually updated in the page object model or whatever framework they are using. And that is eliminated with Virtuoso, because Virtuoso captures a lot of data at the time of live authoring, and which it uses for the self-healing purposes to make sure that without any manual intervention, the scripts with the technical changes can be identified and use machine learning algorithms to predict the right element and continue to run the test without any manual intervention. And that saves that 80% time which the estates are spending now in maintaining, and that time can be used in creating new test cases and improve that, which essentially improves the ROI and makes the overall experience from a test automation projects really easy from Virtuoso QA's perspective. Now, how does it affect the GSI partners, and how would it affect the people who are using it? Number one, everyone can automate, whether you're a manual tester or you are somebody who's an estate, you would be able to use Virtuoso because everything is NLP. There is no coding language required for you to learn. You would be able to shift left very early in the project lifecycle, so you can automate within the sprint itself. There's no backlog that we have seen with almost all our customers. There was a backlog of n+2, n+3, or even n+4, and that goes away. They are able to complete all the automation activity within the sprint itself. And all of that, it leads to transition to leaner teams, where they are able to no longer maintain two separate teams for manual resources and automation teams. It's a single team, which allows them to reduce the effort in software development lifecycle. Now, all of these affect these four metrics, which we were speaking about earlier. So it reduces the risk of your programs, by which you are able to get more confidence in that you have the right coverage from an automation perspective. Any defects which are introduced into the system during the software development lifecycle can be captured very early in the project lifecycle, which gives the confidence that the releases are going with less number of defects into the subsequent phases. It reduces the time it takes for you to achieve that level of automation, which means your release cycles are faster, your amount of effort and cost involved is cheaper as well, because you are able to do more with the same set of resources. And also, all of that leads to a faster ROI with the highest amount of coverage that you can achieve, which means that you would be able to test more, get more coverage from an automation perspective. Now, with that, let's do a quick demo of the platform so that you guys can understand, for those who are joining in new, how does it make it happen. So this is the Virtuoso platform. There's absolutely nothing for you to download, install, or configure. Just key in the URL and you can get started with writing your test cases, maintaining those test cases, executing them, and also reporting them, all through this web-based console. You can easily integrate it with different test management tools, your defect management tools, and other DevOps tools as well, which essentially means that Virtuoso fits in the seamlessly across the ecosystem of tools that you're using. And it would just make sure that it makes the test automation part really super easy to use. Right now, on the Virtuoso platform, you can see that there are multiple projects that you can create. Within a project, you can create goals. Goals is what I would liken to a set of collection of test cases which is aligned to your test lifecycle objective. So you could say that, hey, all my in-sprint tests would be in one goal, all my regression tests would be in another goal, smoke test in another one, so on and so forth. Or you can break down module wise and make sure that you can create different modules or goals for different modules, and that would allow you to maintain it the collection of test cases quickly as well. Now let's just understand how it makes writing test cases very quick and how it makes also the maintenance part very quick. So if I have an example that I want to just showcase for how you can quickly write test cases and make sure that you can see exactly how those test cases are behaving against your application. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm creating a checkpoint to navigate to a URL. Please bear in mind that this could be a URL for your clickable wireframes as well, which means that you could start writing your test cases even before your application is ready. And that makes it super convenient for teams to start doing the test automation within the sprint itself. If I have to do a search validation, I'm starting with a search checkpoint. You can see that there's a search text box over here. For me to write something into the search text box, all I need to do is write the product name into the search text box. So I'm just providing the hint, the text hint that I can see on the screen to this NLP syntax. As soon as I click on save, you can see that it has identified the search text box. It has written tote bag into it and the search has happened. For you to validate if the search has happened correctly, I would just take one product, in this case, border not found, and I would confirm if the border not found product can be seen on the screen. And that is an assertion to confirm that border not is found in the screen. And this way you can start writing test cases very quickly. So for example, if I want to just click on add to bag, I would just say click on add to bag and it automatically identifies the add to bag button just next to the border not found element. I can as well say click on top left add to bag, and it would ensure that the add to bag button on the top left side of the screen can be executed as well. So while we are doing this, you can see I'm just providing very simple text inputs to the tool, and it makes test automation that much easier. But what the tool is also doing in the background is that it's collecting all of the information which would allow it to navigate to this element. It might be XPath IDs, the CSS, even the element structure. And because we're capturing all of that information, if any of these changes in the future, it would automatically understand what has changed. So for example, in one of these fields, you can see that the XPath ID has changed in the next iteration. At runtime, without any manual intervention, number one, it would do is it would identify which selectors are broken. It would then make sure it would look at all the information that it has captured for that element and then predict the element on the screen. It would then update all the selectors from that element, which is able to identify on the screen, and make sure that your tests run without any failure. In a typical scenario where this wouldn't have failed, if it would have failed, what your teams would be doing is every time it fails, it would then take a note of the new selectors, update it in its page object model, and then rerun the journeys. And that is essentially the savings that you would be able to get with self-healing. Now, the same journey that you've written, you can also integrate it with your test data management tools, which would allow you to make sure that the same journey is then executed with multiple product names or different assertions. You can also make sure that you can not just test the UI part of it, you can also integrate it with your backend API databases or any backend service which is exposed by APIs. You can basically pass some information and retrieve the API response and then validate if the data that you've got from the response is correctly getting validated as well. So all of this can be done in a single journey. There are situations where you may want to span it across multiple applications as well. So in this example, you can see that you're starting with Salesforce, but you may want to go to your backend D365 ERP. So Salesforce might be used as a CRM. D365 is the ERP. You would be able to run an end-to-end journey, which may span across multiple applications in a single journey. And all of that is written in plain NLP syntax. So you no longer have to maintain a separate manual test case versus a automated test case. All of that is documented in this test case itself, where your teams can start coming in and start collaborating with each other to make sure that they can confirm if the right set of tests have been written. They can review it, and then once they have completed the review process, you can create a new version of that which is published. These can then be picked up by your execution planners. So execution planners are primarily the engines that you can use to run your regression, smoke tests, etc. You can configure devices. So we have integrated this with browser stack and lambda test, where both the browser stack device stack and the lambda test device stack can be accessed with the different OS browser combinations, device and OS browser combinations. Even if they're using devices, you can even describe what are the portrait or landscape orientation that you would require. If not, you can define which browser, what version of the browser, and then you can add those combinations. You can schedule it. So if you're running a smoke test, you want to run it every day or maybe sometimes twice or thrice or every hour, you can set it up over here. You have the capability to select the right environment, the custom starting URLs, and also what are the journeys that you would run as part of this, right? And this can also be integrated with your CI/CD pipelines. So if you have Jenkins or Azure DevOps or any other tool where you want to run the DevOps pipelines, want to trigger the Virtuoso scripts and test cases, and then see the results back, you can do that via CI/CD pipelines. You can also integrate it with the likes of TestRail or Jira X-Ray. Some of those are by default available out of the box. Integrations are available, but even if it's any other tool like ALM, it's super easy to integrate so that the tests execute in Virtuoso, but the results can be populated in the test management or the defect management tool, right? One of the other things that you can do once you encounter an error in Virtuoso. So for example, if we are able to run a set of tests and we realize that, hey, these tests have certain errors, what we would do is come up with a root cause analysis tab for you. In that root cause analysis, we will capture the page source, the network logs, console logs, all at that point of failure. You can also use AI to go through all of this information and analyze for you what has failed. It would give you a succinct summary of what has failed in this, why it has failed, which you can also pass it on to your developers. Either pass it on through this link, or you can use our Jira defect management integration, which allows you to create a ticket directly into Jira with all the screenshots, the information from root cause, all of that pre-filled. And that just one click, you can create a ticket into your Jira as well, right? Now, with that, I want to rush back to the topic at hand. Deepa, if there are questions being asked in between, just feel free to let me know. If not,
Sure.
I'm
There are
happy.
some questions. Yeah, there
Sure.
are some questions. So would you like to take it now?
Yeah, I'm happy to take them, and then we can go towards the
Great.
topic.
So Sunil asks, how do we enable headed mode execution in Virtuos?
Yeah, so Sunil, the headed mode by default would be available for browser stack and Lambda test. So you can enable those when you are executing along with browser stack and Lambda test. By default, what we do in our execution engine is through the headless one, right? The second one I
Great.
can see, Deepa, is how to disable self-healing option in Virtuoso. So yeah, absolutely, that is a feature which is available. So you can just make sure that whenever you're writing a test step, you can, by default, it is configured to be enabled, but you can specify that, hey, for this specific test step, disable self-healing, and it would do that. So any changes in the XPath, it would automatically fail that test step. I think there was...
How do we disable self-healing? That question is also there.
Yeah, that's what I covered just now. I think there was one question on XPath or CSS selected to identify objects on
Yes.
the page. You can specify your own XPath. I think Vijay has already answered that. So thanks, Vijay. The tool is absolutely license based. We're not an open source solution. You can talk to us about the license costs. Feel free to reach out to us. I would be covering the details of the contact details that you can reach out to either Deepa or me, and we would be happy to answer those questions. If you want to do headed mode execution in our machine, no, that is not possible, Sunil. So currently, the headed mode execution would only be supported by our browser stack and Lambda test, primarily because we are enabling all of the self-healing and all those good things within our engine, and that is what it allows us to do all of that super easy. So the headed mode execution is only possible for the device cloud providers like Lambda Test or Browser Stack. Okay. With that, I'm going to get started with...
We just got one more. Do you want to cover that?
Yeah,
Or do
happy
you want
to.
to take it later on? Okay. So does Virtuoso support older web versions developed using technologies 5 to 10 years ago? For example, legacy applications which is not modernized yet.
Yeah. So there are some which would be supported, but we'll have to check case by case basis. There are some which are developed on browsers which are not active at this point in time or not supported by any of the browser based companies, so it may be difficult, but majority of the web applications are supported. There would be some which are like IE based, older legacy applications. There could be certain issues that we'll have to look into. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So with that, all right. So we can pause on the questions for now, or because questions are pouring in, which is always good. Maybe we can just take a couple of more and then we can get started with the rest of the presentation, Vinay, if that's all right.
Yeah, we are like 30 minutes into this. I wanted to make sure that we cover the topic in hand today, and then
Okay.
we can up the questions later if that's okay. Yeah.
Fair enough. So please go ahead, keep filling your questions in. We will just be done with the second section of this presentation and we'll come back to the questions.
Yeah.
Please keep pouring your questions meanwhile.
Great. Okay, so and this is something that we have seen, and this is the topic for the day as well. Why partnerships, right? So we work with a lot of partnerships. We see it as a win-win for both of us. For the partners, it's a great way, and for us as well, it's a great way to increase the revenue, primarily because they're able to sell more automation with a super attractive ROI for their end customers. The customer experience increases significantly because, number one, from the partner perspective, they are able to see the speed, the productivity improvements, and the quality of their projects, which makes super useful from a partner perspective. But from our perspective as well, because we know that we have trained the the partner teams already. For us, if we go with our partners, the end customer experience we know would be great because the partners are already trained properly. They have the right the skills, they have the right approach and the training that they have gone through to allow for them to provide a seamless experience to their end customers. Again, the project risks go down if you've got the right set of resources, you've got the right set of automation, and the whole identifying the project risk early in the project life cycle with automation. And all of that contributes to improve margins. And that is why partners work with us. Over the past few years, we have seen a surge in our partnerships. And the reason why they continue to grow the business on the partnership side is primarily because both of us have win-win here. And that also makes us invest in the partnerships. We do not work with a lot of partners. We want to work with a select few partners, make sure that we are enabling them properly and giving them all the right tools so that they are able to utilize Virtuoso in an easy manner as well. Now, there are three things that we enable customers and what we are doing as part of the partnerships. Number one is to help them position and sell Virtuoso, which essentially means that we have all the motions in place to enable their sales teams, their solutions team, and also do joint marketing campaigns together. That is on the positioning and selling side of things. The other two is enabling the delivery and onboarding and supporting. Once we have identified those customers, we start working with them. How quickly can we onboard them along with the partners, and how we can support them in the ongoing engagements as well. Vijay, you want to come in and explain a little bit more about the enable delivery and onboard and support, those two boxes.
Yeah, yes, Vinay.
Go ahead, Vijay.
Yeah, so I think there are two separate slides given on that, Vinay. I think that where I'll cover the entire details from delivery point of view and onboarding point of view. So just a brief. So delivery point of view, we make sure the partners are ready with all the uh, knowledge on the platform so that for any kind of project, they should be in a ready state to utilize using this platform. And from onboarding and support point of view, we do give necessary trainings, and also we have huge certifications in our knowledge portal, where which help the customers to get the complete knowledge on this Virtuoso, and yeah, and then help them to enable to work on these projects.
Okay, thanks, Vijay. And how do we do that as a team? So we have a separate alliance team, right? What we have is essentially a set of teams. So like Vijay is coming from enablement perspective. He would be helping us with a lot of these aspects. Deepa and I come from the alliance team where we have all the work that we're doing, working with the partners. Then we also have the support teams and product consultants teams, which will also come in and help the partners in achieving their objectives, right? So to start with, the alliance team, so where Deepa and I come from, we primarily work with getting the partners, making sure that we can start onboarding them, completing all the paperwork, defining the go-to-market with them, defining the sales strategy and how we align with that sales strategy. For example, if you're doing testing as a service, or you're doing a managed services project, how does it align with what Virtuoso offers? We also define goals and KPIs so that we understand what we're working towards, how successful we are in those aspects. And that is the whole collaboration model as well, which would come in here. From a sales and marketing enablement, we will work with the teams to do the value proposition and all of those aspects. I'll be detailing that a bit later, and also making sure that we can jointly market the services that we are building together. And Vijay would be covering the delivery enablement and product consultants. Just to do a deep dive on each of these, right? So from a sales enablement journey, what we do is make sure that your sales, the pre-sales teams, the teams which are involved from the sales perspective, they understand the value proposition really well. We align our sales methodologies together so that we know how we are progressing in the deals. We support you with the initial set of demos and pilots. So at some point in time, the partners do become really mature on their own and they're able to handle all of this on their own. But anything that they need to do that is something that we support them. There's functional expansion, which is primarily focused on defining the best practices, the organization alignment and accountability, make sure that we have the right sales motions in place. We've got the right messaging, what we are doing in specific verticals, and how we can bring that to the verticals in each of those alliance partners. And all of that helps with making sure that we are able to equip the sales teams within the GSI partners and the alliances to sell better, position it better, and win more business. The same thing is also enabled through marketing, because it's important for us to take it to the market in terms of what we are bringing together. This is something that we achieve in terms of joint demand and lead generation processes, making sure that we have the brand awareness, the loyalty programs, and also joint campaigns in terms of LinkedIn and other social media campaigns, as well as blogs, as well as webinars, which would allow us to jointly market and make sure that we can grow the opportunities and grow the revenue through those. Vijay, I'll hand it over to you to explain how we handle the delivery enablement journey in more details.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Vinay. So let me start with a key message. So here, partners are really critical to the success of our platform, and enabling them through structured training and the certifications and also the engagement ensures they can deliver value efficiently and effectively. So as a first step, you can see the training part, where we offer global training programs and certifications. So with this, now partners will have all the knowledge and skills to deliver solutions. Okay. So with this, partners can actually confidently and also independently take any kind of complex client challenges and ensure faster project delivery. So I think most of the solutions are from or the use cases which we are getting are covered in our trainings, and also in our trainings we cover all the Virtuoso functionality with practical workshops. So with this, the partners can independently handle projects and also reduce the dependency from the support point of view. So if I take an example of role-specific training programs, so it might be a tester, or it might be a manager, it might be a BA. So so all different roles we give the trainings. And coming to the on-demand learning portals, so understanding the domain of the applications from partners. We also offer in creating a small framework, which we have done to one of our partners. We have done some recording sessions, we have done some small frameworks, and we have uploaded them to the organization. And using those frameworks, they have used it, and they have followed the same process in implementing on other projects as well. And coming to the next topic, which is certifications part, we have different levels of training, level 1 certification, level 2 certification. So each level has covers more, giving more solutions to the any kind of use cases. So if I talk about level 1 certification, it covers all the core features of Virtuoso, and level 2 certification covers the integration parts. And we make sure that our partners complete all these certifications, and also we identify from these certifications, and also with the hands-on exercises what we give, we identify the global champions, and these global champions are like in a ready shape to do any kind of demo to their customers, and they are in a position to do any kind of assessment, and also they can actually give the estimations for any new kind of requirements. Yeah, and also this is a continuous learning roadmap. So our certifications are like getting updated, because since it's a SaaS-based product, so we have new features coming in weekly basis, and we keep our training material updated. Yeah, so this covers all about the certifications part. And I think coming to collaboration point of view, so regular engagement through webinars, yeah, and also event like partner day and awareness sessions, um, and ensure partners stay updated on the platform innovations. So you can just see our website with a huge list of webinars what we have done so far. We have a very good technical team and product team where they have done a lot of webinars on some key features of Virtuoso, which really helps our partners to understand how to use the features of Virtuoso. And recently, we have done a partner day with a few of our partners, and in that we have discussed what is in our roadmap, and we have shared our experiences, success stories, and from the partner day also we are able to understand what are the roadmap for customer applications. So yeah, this is the way the delivery enablement goes on, starting from enable, certify, and engage. Yeah. Vinay, can you go to the next slide?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
I have moved to the next slide. Are you able to see
Oh,
it?
sorry. Yeah, sorry. There was a network issue. Okay. Yeah, coming to the onboarding and support, starting from onboarding and governance and strategy and support. So in the onboarding phase, what we do is we give the platform access and also give the overview on the Virtuoso to the customers, and also make sure on a regular basis we do review the best practices, how they are achieved, and we also do the project specific enablement, which means like some projects are like more of API, some projects are more of data driven approach. So in such cases, we give more priority on those specific areas, and we do give trainings. So this is an offer we give to our partner customers. And coming to the best practices point of view, we do a regular check on the best practices to make sure all the Virtuoso features are properly used, and we can see the benefits whenever we use the best practices. And coming to governance and strategy, we also do health checks to make sure every feature of Virtuoso is being used, because as I said, we do have regular deployments and new features coming in. And we also make sure that customers are actually using all the features of Virtuoso. And also in our quarterly business review, we give a detailed report on how what the best practices and what is the output of the health checks. Everything will be shared in our quarterly business review. And we also make sure that in the business value roadmap, like what is the success, like what is the authoring speed, and what is the execution timelines, and what are the benefits we got. We measure in our business value roadmap. And coming to the sharing of reusable assets, um, so we have organization level features where the customers can actually share their assets among between each other. Like if I take the example of APIs, if I take extensions, data driven, all these can be shareable across the organization level. So yeah, this will be a really a good feature to share among the different customers. And with this, the support point of view, we have a dedicated support team, and they are as per the SLAs. We support the customers for any kind of queries, and if required, we jump on a call and do the hands-on troubleshooting. And apart from the support, we have knowledge-based articles. We have a lot of documentation, um, which helps us. A lot of use cases with code has been given, and even in the guide also you can find the libraries where you can simply add it into your project and utilize for developing your journeys. And we regularly get the feedback from for any kind of query to make sure all the queries are addressed properly. And apart from these all, we have collaborative support forums like Discord, where all the users get into a community and discuss on the new features or any kind of um, issues, and sharing knowledge. We also do as part of this support. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, this is all about onboarding and support.
Thank you. So I believe there are quite a lot of questions. Deepa, we can cover some of those questions if that's okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we do have 10 more minutes, and there are some questions. In case if there is some other questions that is coming to your mind, post what Vijay has said, feel free to go ahead and keep posting it. Meanwhile, we will be addressing the questions that are already posted. Okay, so Vinay, over to you. Sunil is asking that does Virtuoso support ALM integration as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have an out of the box, but we have achieved it for some of our customers via Jenkins. So the executions happen, and once the executions are completed, the results from those executions will get updated in the ALM. So that's something that we have been able to achieve for some of our customers. Does it connect to Salesforce Workbench? I'll have to check and confirm that. I'm not 100% sure about that, but if Workbench is something which is available on the web, that is something it's super easy to do. However, our approach with Salesforce is not, so as we said earlier, it's technology agnostic. We're not having a specific product for Salesforce. However, a lot of our customers are using Virtuoso for Salesforce testing and test automation. And the way it works super easy is with some reusable assets that we've created on Salesforce. There are ways for you to call the APIs along with the UI journey so that there are repeated tasks. You are not all the time doing Salesforce UI operations. You can also validate via APIs. So there's a lot which is being done. Let me try and identify if there's an integration with Workbench. If it's something which can be achieved via APIs, that's absolutely doable.
I have one question before we move to the next one.
Sure.
We are not able to, not a question, rather a request. We are not able to see your name. It is coming as anonymous. If you could share your name over here in either the chat or the Q&A, we can get back to you with a detailed answer on Salesforce Workbench.
Yeah,
That would really help us.
that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. If possible, could you please show a demo on generating reports via using Virtuoso? Vinay, I think we can have a separate connect with Sunil,
Yeah,
because that might need a little bit more time than 8 minutes.
yeah, absolutely.
Sunil,
So happy to send
yeah,
you
so
some videos across. We've got some videos, but happy to connect with you offline as well, Sunil, and explain how the reporting aspects work within Virtuoso.
sure. So we take that as an action, and Sunil, I'll be in touch with you for finding some common slots. Okay,
Sure.
moving on to the next one. Ilya Raja asks, right now, when do we do the execution? Using execution planner, test results are captured based on the test cases executed first and not based on the order of the test cases, like TC 01, 02, 03. Is there any way tool captures the test result in order and not based on which test cases are executed first?
Yeah, let me take that. So
Sure.
right now in Planner, the bots will execute all the journeys in random. So you cannot do a sequential execution from Planner, but using flows you can achieve it. But we do have an extension where you can call it within your goal and just give the summary name for call the summary name as a parameter, and that will help you out in running all the journeys in sequence. But in our roadmap, we have this option from planners where you can run all the journeys in sequence. That is soon going to come in Virtuoso.
Great.
Great. So
Thanks, Vijay.
this brings us to the last question, Vinay and Vijay. Uh, how to implement loops in Virtuoso, and does Virtuoso supports mobile testing?
Yeah, I think from implement loops point of view, right now we do not. But again, for even loops also has taken as a priority in our roadmap, and even that also will be soon coming into Virtuoso. But there are some other options like you can use if conditions, advanced conditions, and wherever required, you can call library checkpoint multiple times as a workaround to make the journey run. Um,
Also extensions, if I may add, you can
mm,
use extensions to run loops as well. A lot of our customers do that, which allow you to do the repeated activities in a loop via an extension as well. However, as Vijay mentioned, that is a feature which is on our priority,
right.
and we are hoping it would be out in the next few months. Okay. There was another question there. Part of that question was, does it support mobile testing? So mobile testing on the web browser, absolutely yes, but native mobile applications currently are not supported. It is something that we are considering in our roadmap, and we is something that we would be hopefully give an answer in the next few quarters. But it's not currently supported with the features in mobile native applications. Mobile on the web, absolutely yes. You would be able to test it out, or any hybrid applications which can also be accessed by a web or PWA mobile applications. Those are all supported because they can be accessed via web browser. Okay. Hey, with that, thank you so much, guys, for attending. I want to just do a recap of everything that we have covered. So, primarily, what we covered today was these three things. Number one, how we invest. So, all the work that Vijay and do, there's a lot of investment which we do for our partners to make sure that we can train them properly. We can train the delivery teams. We can help them with all the materials and the environments that are required. That's an investment we do primarily so that we can grow the revenues together, and improve the services together. We also talked about the post-sales onboarding and support, which is something that Vijay is providing. And there's something that we have seen. We have excellent NPS scores on that, primarily because we are able to onboard the customers pretty quickly, get them to the path of fastest route to ROI, and also make sure that we are objectively measuring the what does good look like from a metrics perspective and KPIs perspective, and that's something which we continuously monitor throughout the length of the contract. And that's something which we wanted to cover off, so that it's very important for alliances to understand how we operate with them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Deepa. Deepa is a business development manager for Global Alliances, and I'm the director for Global Alliances. So feel free to reach out to us. You can also send us emails on hello@virtuoso.qa. You can log on to our website, virtuoso.qa, a documentation guide, which you can find through our website as well. And you can also look for Virtuoso on the YouTube. We've got loads of videos that even on the reporting and analytics side, there are demonstrations which you can find in the YouTube video. But happy to connect with the teams who would ask for those questions as a follow-up. With that, unless there are any further questions that we've got,
We just got one from Kalyan.
yeah.
He says that, do we have anything on accessibility testing on our roadmap? If so, please share the details.
It's already something that we support through the Axe plugin, which we have done for us, some of our partners as well. So, Kalyan, if you want to reach out to us, I'm happy to point you to the demonstrations on that. Essentially, we use the Axe plugin, and where our customers are testing the functional features, they position the Axe plugin call on all of those pages, and it would automatically identify all the accessibility issues against these standards like WCAG and other standards. And that gives you a report of all the things that you need to start fixing. So that's something which we have already covered. I think there was another question which has been answered by Vijay, if I'm not.
Yeah, so the other one was Sunil. He was just happy that, we have answered all his questions. We are taking two action items, Vinay, from this call. One is to get connected with Sunil for a detailed session on showing him how to go ahead with the reports. He had some queries. Kalyan, we would also like to set up a call with you in the coming weeks, possibly first week of January, to discuss about accessibility testing. And we would really appreciate if we can get the uh, coordinates or the name at least of the uh, of of the guest who has asked question regarding Salesforce Workbench. We would like to get in touch with you as well. So yeah, those are the three action items for us. Over to you,
Yeah.
Vinay.
Thank you so much, team. I really wanted to take this opportunity to appreciate all the attendance that we get month over month on the Virtuoso 101. There are plenty of other webinars that Vijay's team also conducts, specifically focusing on technical topics. We will be covering technical topics as well. Feel free to reach out to us, give us suggestions on what other topics you want us to cover in the next webinars. We'll have the next one in Jan, and we'll be putting up the dates and all the information on the topics very shortly on those. So feel free to register, and thank you for your continued patronage. Take care then. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Bye.